Hello and welcome to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB. How you doing? And the format is winding down. As I am recording this, it is July 9th, and very soon, July 12th, will be the arrival of M19, the new core set. And that is going to change the format a little. We'll get into my thoughts on how in a few minutes, but it means that as we have it, the decks that we have are coming to an end. We are approaching the final curtain for many of them, at least as we know them. There will probably be similar decks after new cards are introduced, but we're probably going to spend more time focusing on the new cards than the old cards. So what I'm going to do for the first part of this week, as I'm recording this on Monday, then there's going to be Tuesday. Wednesday is going to be the big release event that I'm in, so that you guys know I'm being sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, along with about 50 other streamers. We're getting an account that's going to be stocked with wild cards and Core 19 product, and we're going to open all that on stream, and then we're going to draft, and we're going to play Constructed against each other a day before everybody else will get to play it. Now, I have to give the account back, unfortunately. So it's a one-day only extravaganza, but that is going to be on Wednesday on Twitch. Also, I'll have 20 beta codes to give away in my chat given to me by Wizards of the Coast. So if you don't have your MTG Arena beta code yet, or you know someone who doesn't, send them over to the Twitch chat. I'll put the link in the description, and that's going to be coming up on Wednesday from, I believe the timing is 2 to 6 p.m. Pacific North American time. Something like that. All right. I'll make sure that I get all the details right in the description if I get them wrong in the video, so forgive me. But for the rest of this week, what we're going to do is just do quick one game around the worlds with the decks that we've played for the last several months. We didn't get to deck tech all of these, and we didn't do a full playthrough with all of them. Some that may be for the better, like you guys might not have needed another deck tech on blue-white control, for example, but some of them might have been more fun, like updates to the God-Pharaoh's gift deck and a green-white angels deck and a snake deck. These control decks also are very similar to blue-white control, just being transparent about that. But the idea now is we're just going to put them to bed. We're going to do one game per deck in kind of an around the world fashion for a few videos for this week. Just a few more uploads for you before we move into M19. Also, we'll do some other different things on the stream today. Near the end, we'll actually talk about some M19 decks and cards that I think are going to be getting better or worse. Okay, we're going to start with red-black aggro. Just going to quick show the deck. Not many changes. In fact, this is blatantly a deck list I've stolen from possibly the greatest player in the world, Owen Turnwald, who used it to make the top 8 of the Pro Tour and the top 8 of US Nationals. I don't think any of my adjustments for the arena metagame can improve on what this guy's already done. So this is going to be strict net decking to kick it off. But don't worry, we're just going to be one game in and out, and then we'll be moving right down the list. So next up will be Stompy, Jeskai after that. And we'll roll for like 3, maybe 4 games of ladder. We'll talk a little bit of M19, and then we'll call it a video. So things a little different for today. Let me know if you like the format or if you just want me to pick a deck and stick to a deck. You can tell me in comments all the things you think about me, as some people just love to do. Well, we get to show our opponent the first turn Bomat Courier. I'm sure they've never seen anything like it before in their lives. What? What manner of nonsense is this? Bomat Courier just stocking cards. When it comes down on turn 1, especially on the play, it's so good. Here on the draw, we'll see. I think that what I'm going to do here, though, we have this tough decision of killing this Knight of Grace or adding to our board. And I think what I want to do is play the Soulscar Mage. But this Knight of Grace has to die anyway, is part of the issue. If the Knight of Grace does not die, The real question is what's up next. If it's History of Benalia, then we definitely are going to want to set up Soul Scar Chain Whirler. And we can deploy the Mage in the Scrap Heap next turn. But if it's not History of Benalia, we want to keep getting in there. So here's what I want to do. I want to Lightning Strike the Knight this turn. Next turn, I want to play Scrap Heap and Soul Scar. And the turn after that, I want to play Goblin Chain Whirler. That at least gets a second card under my Bomat Courier, making it a 3-card Bomat at some point later in the game. And sets us up to not have to continue to plow the way and attack. Also, Knight of Grace is a good Lightning Strike target in that its first strike means we'd have to kill it sometime. So will it be the History of Benalia? It will be a Knight of Malice. Okay. And a Dauntless Bodyguard is excellent to see, as it is certainly fodder for the Chain Whirls. So we're going to proceed with our plan. This turn will be Soul Scar Scrap Heap. The turn after will be Goblin Chain Whirler, and the turn after that can be Chandra. Opponent with a priority hold on Dauntless Bodyguard, which they can sacrifice at any time. It's the reason we're sitting here, and our opponent's kind of getting to hit the resolve button while we're passing priority. It also makes the Knight of Malice a 3-2, but it'll go down to a 1-1 if it's the only white permanent when we Chain Whirl. And another Knight of Grace, that's fine. If our opponent wants to keep adding to the board in the face of the Chain Whirler about to happen, that's okay. Unfortunately, it means these will be 2-1 first strikes. Maybe not. Okay. A second Chain Whirler, though, as long as our Soul Scar Mage sticks around, this will be devastating. So let's launch the first Chain Whirler. The poor Knight deck. One of the reasons I just can't really get behind the Black-White Knight deck is the way it seems to get Soul Scar Chain Whirled. It doesn't have... I mean, I guess it has some Fatal Pushes, but you don't really want to use those on Soul Scar Mage, which is pretty low impact compared to other cards. Alright, still no attacks this turn, because we've got these 2-1 first strikes to think about. But with the -1/-1 counters, the second Chain Whirler is going to be so back-breaking. Our opponent does pass turn. They could have, what? A concession, I was going to say. Do we bother playing around Settle the Wreckage? But it ended right there, and we still had a Chandra in hand. Filthy. Filthy. The poor Knight deck. The poor Knight deck. Quick claim, quick reintroduction. We're going to switch over to the Stompy, which is a different build than you've seen. You'll notice watching this video that I change up my builds all the time. This is almost a build out of US Nationals, but trimming less Galta and more early beats and the Black Splash for Scroungers. So I change things a lot. Don't take it personal. I'll try to throw that. Like, some people, I swear, think that my build of a deck is some kind of a tapestry that cannot be messed with. I know. I've talked to these people, and seriously, make changes. Change all the time. Change till you love it. Oh, our opponent gets a rematch. We can expect to be playing against Black-White Knights again. And they're on the mulligan. We are on the draw. This is a very difficult hand, because if there's a forest in our top two cards, we're doing all right. The thing is, we're already a mulligan. That's what happens when you have two Galtas in your hand. You already mulliganed. This is basically a 6-card hand. So I may as well try to mulligan to a 6-card hand that has more lands, but man, is it tempting to keep a turn 1 Llanowar Elf. This hand is better, and I'm really stoked about it. Got pretty lucky on that mulligan. Although that's part of the mulliganing trade-off. Sometimes you get what you came for. Do we keep an Adventurous Impulse? It's a very good curve filler. It won't be for a few turns, but it might help us land a Galta, so I'm going to keep it. A card I excluded from the green deck the last time I played it. I talked quite a bit about Adventurous Impulse, I believe, in that video and in the comments of that video. I'm sure that the right number isn't 0. I'm sure that the right number is probably 1, 2, something like that. Maybe even 3. 4 is probably not it either. You don't want Adventurous Impulse revealing 2 other Adventurous Impulses in a Blossoming Defense. Alright. To Steel Leaf or to Ronus? I think I'll play the Ronus, so next turn I can Steel Leaf with Blossoming Defense. Then I have an Indestructible threat and a Hexproof threat. It's easier to block the Ronus, but since our opponent's playing white creatures, we can guess that they'll make a 3-2 anyway. Oh, not this time. And there's the Ghalta. Oh my. Oh my, things are going swimmingly. Get in there. And I will just leave up the Blossoming Defense, as if these survive next turn, Ghalta comes down. The Dauntless Bodyguard, making the Knight a 3-2 and giving it a 1 turn of indestructibility, does not compare to the power we are laying to the board. And it serves as a sad reminder to the Knight deck that they are woefully underpowered much of the time in this absolutely ridiculous format we're playing. But we'll check for a seal away. Or a double block, I suppose. No, that's not going to work because this has a 2 power. So here we go. Coming at you for 10. Chumples the Ronus. Chump and sack for Indestructible. I think our opponent was trying... Yeah, there you go. You want to line up a block like this, then you sacrifice this to make this indestructible. Our opponent finding the line here. Perhaps trying to make sure it goes the way they want to. Here we go. So that means that the Ronus is going to deal no damage because it does not have trample. Then this drops down to a 2-2, but it is indestructible, so it will absorb the damage from the champion. So our opponent has successfully taken no damage that turn. Good for them. Let's go ahead and cast this Impulse. I'm going to take the Resilient Kenra. I don't want my opponent to know about the Blossoming Defense. If I take a Rampager and still leave a green up, it's very obvious I have a Blossoming Defense. Also in this spot, I think the Kenra's a little better, as it can get more trample damage through on the Ghalta. Also using the Llanowar Elves there instead of the land, because if there was a fatal push or something that would kill the Llanowar Elves at the end of the turn, that would be interesting, but I doubt that would ever happen. But if our elf did die on end step somehow to something ridiculous like a fungal infection, we wouldn't have our Blossoming Defense available during our opponent's turn. Really corner case scenarios, but I have had strange things done to me between Magic Duels and Magic Arena. So our opponent in a tank, I'm thinking we're looking at an Ixalan's Binding or something of that nature, and they're deciding what to target. Seems like the target should easily be a Ghalta, but all 3 of these threats, Ronus, Steel Leaf, and Ghalta, are capable of ending the game on their own if unchecked. And it could just be frustration from the opponent for losing 2 straight games to 2 different decks, both very good draws that kind of ran the Knight deck over. In fact, we haven't seen any removal from this Knight deck yet, so whatever the removal package is, it hasn't shown up, or it's not in the build at all. Dauntless Bodyguard also has been a bit of a speed bump in both games. We also haven't seen History of Benalia, which is probably the good reason to play that deck. It's actually a very strong card. The Knight of Mouse and Knight of Grace are fine. They're decent, but they're not going to win you many games on their own. And then, so you throw in History of Benalia, and you got a whole bunch of power. The question for these decks is constantly what they're going to do for a top end that's more powerful. As you see, starting on turn 2, we were playing much more powerful threats that made their creatures not look very impressive. And coming up in the new set, there's the Ajani, which Ajani Planeswalker, Ajani Vengeant, I believe, something like that. It's 4 mana, 2 white and 2 others, and you get a Planeswalker that goes up to 5 loyalty by putting +1/+1 counters on 2 creatures, and goes down to 2 loyalty to bring back a creature of power of casting cost 2 or less. So it can pump your knights up so they can tangle better, and with their first strike they can tangle better, and it can get knights back out of the graveyard. Is that good enough for a situation like this? Probably not. So our opponent passed the turn. There's a question right now of if we want to play around Settle the Wreckage. I don't think so. But I have to attack with at least 2 creatures here. So let's deploy, and our opponent's going to concede. Okay. Well, they ran their whole timer to tell me they were angry. I thought it might be an intricate settle bluff, but they were unwilling to wait around and have me figure that out. But I think if I were to finish that turn, I would attack with Galta and probably Ronus. Well, Ronus would be an auto chump block. Galta wouldn't be lethal alone. So no, I think I'd finish that turn attacking with Galta and the Steel Leaf and see what the opponent, if they had a settle, I would still have the Ronus. I would still have the Resilient Kenra. I'd probably play the Kenra pre-combat. Anyway, and a Heart of Kirin. So things looking great. Let's let it go, shall we? Let's bring back Jeskai. We played this on 4th of July for a patriotic weekend. The only change I've made is going up to 4 Gearhulks and down to 2 Virtuosos. I just really didn't find the first Virtuoso that good that often, but the second one was always, like, when it comes later in the game after you've made your energy with Glimmers and Gearhulks, Glimmering is a lot more powerful. Also, a few tweaks on the mana base. Clifftop Retreat down. Glacial Fortress up. Just like really minor stuff. It's basically a blue-white control deck with... Well, no, that's not true at all. It is a blue-red control deck. The only white cards are Teferi. And if you didn't watch the 4th of July video, it's mainly differs from other control decks in how often you have to minus Teferi to deal with permanents that blue and red normally can't deal with. The cheap red removal of Harness Lightning and Magmus Ray is a lot better, quite honestly, at dealing with the red deck than the package of Seal Away, and that's about it from the blue-white deck, which is one of the major advantages you get here. Other cards in Core 19 that are very interesting. So talking about what would help out the Knight deck, what would help out the green deck? They have a new Planeswalker, Vivian Reed, who can minus to destroy an artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying, or it can go, and that's a -3 on a 5 loyalty Planeswalker for 5 mana. It can also plus 1, and you look at the top 4 cards of your library and pick a land or creature and put it in your hand. So it can plus to draw cards. It's very interesting stuff. The emblem is something like a -8 that does like +2/+2 and indestructible and vigilance to all your creatures. One of those overpowering creature ultimates. But that's an interesting card in the ability to shift gears or possibly take out something problematic like a flyer. Vital Force, though, is very, very good. There's also, for those of you who just want your creatures huge all the time, there's a Gigantosaurus, which is 5 green mana, green, for a 10/10. It doesn't have trample. I can barely handle that. We're going to let this Winding Constrictor live at least for a minute. The idea being we can counter the cards our opponent tries to play to take advantage of the Constrictor and kill the Constrictor later. So here's a Jade Light Ranger. This is a perfect thing to use our Censor on. as it's our opponent using all of their mana. And then they only have 2 power on the battlefield, so it's not the most urgent of clocks. I do regret not getting to cycle this sensor, as this may be a game where we struggle for land drops. Fortunately, our curve is very low-ish, and there is a land, so right on time. There were a lot of options for dealing with that Jade Light Ranger, including an Essence Scatter, including a Magma Spray before the trigger resolved. Alright, well, we could kill this in response to prevent him from getting 2 energy, but I don't think that's worth it. Here's an Adventurous Impulse. I do not counter those. And a Rishkar, Pima, Renegade. And this is our opportunity. We can Harness Lightning the Winding Constrictor, and then we can Magma Spray the Rishkar with the trigger on the stack. So that way, no +1/+1 counters, no creatures at the end of this turn. Completely caught up to the board. Sorry, Snake. Trigger goes on the stack. Our opponent selects their Rishkar to become a 3/3, but before that resolves, Magma Spray, executing the Rishkar. You shall not pass. And 4th land. Now all we need is a Glimmer of Genius to feel like we've really got this game handled. But right now, we're alright. Lands are good and spells are good. Lands get us closer to Gearhulk. Spells are things we can play to keep from dying. One thing about the Snake deck, you do have to keep answering it, because they typically run a lot of creatures in the current format. I think I'll go ahead and hit this with an Essence Scatter. There's still a chance of a vehicle or a Planeswalker I would want to disallow. Also worth noting that the worst draw in our deck at the moment is Teferi. Well, not anymore. We drew a white source, and our opponent will not stick around to see how this story ends. They have had quite enough. Getting their cards countered. Very discouraging. Alright, next up is kind of a same but different deck. This is a black-blue control deck that only splashes for Teferi. It also features a Scarab God and the Torrential Gearhulk package as well. I think the red deck, the blue-red version that morphs into, that is, you know, Secret Jeskai like we just played, is a little better against the other red aggro decks because the removal is cheaper. But this one's better against other control decks because of Vraska's Contempt. So let's get right to it. If I can get through half the decks today and the rest tomorrow, I'd call that a pretty fun package of videos. The deck list, the description section is probably going to be overflowing with deck lists. Maybe I'll have to put them on a site like MTG Goldfish and just put links in the description instead of just being an absolute bath of cards. Or I could send you guys to the Discord, which is... We have 250-ish people hanging out on my Discord channel now, which has 8 decks, or is it 16? 16 decks, 16 deck lists for the decks I plan to play when Core 19 comes out. So if you want to see some core set deck lists, some M19 deck lists ahead of time, and get some ideas of what we're going to be playing, that's the place to be. Now I have to remember to put my Discord link in the YouTube. And just so you know, it's totally free. And if you've never downloaded Discord before, it's a free app. My server is a free server, and it just contains a lot of really cool people. We also have contributions from other folks, especially those from the Duels community. If you've known me for a while, every now and then we get Nighthawk and Yonder to post their deck lists. Thelona puts deck lists in there from time to time. There's also some up-and-coming YouTubers trying to work on their channel, build their audience, who supply some excellent deck ideas. So what are we going to do? We have 1 removal spell, 2 creatures. Tale as old as time. Let's take out the courier. Let's fight the card advantage battle. But there's a few scary turns coming up here where we're going to be getting punched by Earthshaker Kenra, and we're going to have to find an answer. Especially if there's a Crasher next turn. Yeah, this is good. This could get ugly. All basics, no way to cast the Teferi yet, although we have a Scarab God sitting in the same spot, so that won't be too punishing. More Kenras. Please no more couriers. That would be heartbreaking. To destroy me. Yep. Alright, so we can take 4 for a couple turns. Ugh. And a Soulscar Mage. Our opponent on the curve, man. They're just curving out too hard for us on the play here. And we're not going to get the time we need to catch up. That I am very sure about. This is one of those spots where the opponent's best play is nothing, to be honest. They have plenty of pressure on the board that I have to answer. They could hold that Hazoret until I tapped out to actually deal with the board. But maybe they, it's hard to know that. Feel like I'm getting the treatment. All right, let's cycle. Didn't get there. Yeah, I know, it's very nice. Very nice for you. Perhaps a lightning strike for the finale. Can we get some fireworks? Just, like, show us the God draw. There you go. Too many 5s. Not enough 3s. But that's why the red deck's the red deck. Can beat any clunky draw from any deck ever. So, sad to see Esper go that way, but I'm sure some of you control haters are happy. Alright. Let's show this one. Snake! So this is the basic this is like, this version of my snake deck is just spamming creatures. Just spam them. Just lots of creatures. You see there's very little removal. The removal is Chupacabra and Skyship and Walking Ballista. So it's all kind of creature form. And we got some Harvesters too, but yeah. It's a funky snake take. It's not like green-black mid-range or anything like that. It's very much green-black aggro. I frankly haven't been able to get much snake success anywhere, and it does feel like it's missing a little bit of resiliency and oomph, and that Ajani, Adversary of Tyrants, is something that some people are speculating will help. The Abzan snake deck running the Ajani Planeswalker that puts +1/+1 counters on 2 creatures. It also can minus to get your Winding Constrictor back out of the graveyard so that you always have a snake. Sounds pretty interesting, worth a try. I'll keep the hand. It's not the greatest, but I don't feel right mulliganing it. We do have a Harvester and a Skyship coming down a little ahead of schedule, and that might be good enough against a number of decks. And it looks like a green-black something or other from the opposing side. Let's see if our creature dies instantly. Would you like to kill me? I'm just over here begging for it. I'm doing the Randy Orton pose. I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. And you're dead. Sorry for the wrestling reference for those of you who didn't get it, but you should probably check out wrestling. It's pretty great. You don't have to love it. I'll do that for you. Here is Aethersphere Harvester. So when we do have a creature... Now remember I showed you the deck is almost all creatures? It'd be nice to draw one right now. We run like 30 creatures. There we go. Let's Hubbubub. Our opponent might have a Fatal Push. They activate their Evolving Wilds. I think we just don't care about that given our hand. We just... If our opponent's playing some kind of a controlling mid-rangey thing, we're just going to try to go through them. Oh yeah, they're definitely going to kill something. There's no question about it. So there's no point in activating the lifelink here. And a cast down will hit the Harvester. Hopefully opening up a lane for the Skyship. Now would be a great time to play a creature or planeswalker with 3 toughness or loyalty or less. Now would be a very nice time for that. Please do. Please oblige me. Or do nothing. You know, that's fine. Bronto, get to work. Show him the back of your Brontosaurus hand. Spore Swarm. We're playing tokens. So the Vicious Offering was kind of our first clue that something like this might be up, and now here they are. Yeah, let's start blowing them up, shall we? It's kind of odd seeing a token deck play removal spell, Spore Swarm. That's a little funky. And now down comes the song. We have a Brontodon. So hopefully they make use of the mana this turn because they may not get to use it next turn. And there's the Migration. Would anybody else like to play the game? All right. Interesting. So let's pump up the jam. Pump it up. We're going to use this Bronto to kill the song anyway. And then let's grab the colorless. Slam the Gear Hulk. Go big ham on the Sky Sovereign. We're going for 10. Yep, I ain't slowing down. The one reason to shrink this would be to, or one reason to add to this would be to miss the kicker on a Vicious Offering, but this way I'm just getting max damage in and trying to end the game as fast as I possibly can. I do think we'll see a Vicious Offering kicked killing Gear Hulk here. Ooh, a Fungal Infection. Well, that's not what I expected at all. Okay, so if there had been a Vicious Offering, I wasn't going to sack the Brondon this turn. I'd let my opponent have another turn here. But now that we're in this situation, yeah, the song's going down. I didn't think my opponent would be able to punish me very hard with a lot of mana from the song, but we definitely didn't want the last chapter to occur. Okay, they found their Vicious Offering, so that does leave us in a spot. If we can find one more point of power off the top of our deck, we can win the game. If we fail to do so, then we are up against a number of tokens, but we got some time. Our opponent's now empty-handed. There's a Chupacabra. That'll do the job. Woof. So, 2 creatures crewing up the Sky Sovereign, sending in big old 10 spot. If I were to go back, I do think in hindsight it was a mistake and that I should have made a 6/6 Gear Hulk to get around the Vicious Offering. Would have ended the game just as quickly and made sure that we always had someone to crew the Sky Sovereign if we needed to. So, little mistake there. How's our time on the video? We are flying through the games today. I think I will go for one more. Oh, that one more is blue-white control. Ugh. Well, that could be a very long game indeed. But I do want to shrink the... I want to shrink the palette for the next video. So how about this? We'll jump over to the God-Pharaoh's gift deck. We'll do a little audible. So let's have a quick look. It has changed a little bit since we played this a few months ago to start before we had Kaladesh. Mainly it's Minister of Inquiries and Walking Ballista making the deck. Trophy Mage also adds a little bit more redundancy. We got our 3rd Vizier, so that went in the deck. I don't find the deck particularly good right now against Abrade and Goblin Chain Whirler. Gets decimated a good amount of the time, but it is like a fun puzzle of a deck. The blue-white God-Pharaoh's Gift deck that we'll play tomorrow at some point, probably, is likely the better deck. But this deck is it's just a puzzle I can't get away from. It's a puzzle I don't mind doing. Alrighty then. I guess doesn't do much of what the deck's looking for, but it's lands and spells in proper kind of numbers. Hey, we drew a 1-drop. Get him, Fanatic. Beware the Chain Whirler. So if our opponent just killed... Now is not the time to kill this. No. See, now I still deal 1 damage to you. If you wait for it to attack, that doesn't happen. Alrighty, whatever. Can't play it for him. The hub. The Karizev. Sure. Let's do some planning. Let's try to find a gate to the afterlife. No, we didn't find one of those, but we found a Champion of Wits. Which I guess gets us deeper as well. But so does Minister of Inquiries if it lives. Right now what we need to find most, though, is a gate. Which, if we put that in our graveyard, doesn't help us. So I'm going to take the champ. The People's Champ. Now we'll get punched by Karizev. Straight to the face. Ugh. Ragavan, you little mischief-making monkey. You little monster. Bring forth the Champion of Wits! Please? I would like to cast my Champion of Wits. Please, sir, may I have a champion? We're already on 4. We're going to 6, which means Search will flip, so it's almost like a land. A delayed land. It's always hard to know if you have time to cast ramp spells. Oh my goodness. Why is our opponent... Come on, let me have my champ. He didn't lightning bolt in response. I expected him to, based on how he played the other turns. And we drew a gate. So here I think I drop off the Vizier and the Celebrant. It's gonna suck if I don't hit my land drop, but that it happens. How is our graveyard looking? 4 critters. This is 5. This is 6 on demand. Chandra arrives. Ugh. Very nervous about a Braid. The way that my opponent just kind of held priority and decided not to kill the champ. I think I'll just wait until I have a gate in play. But that's the thing. If the gate's going to get abraded, I have to watch out for that. So what does my next turn look like? So blocking now, prevent 2 damage. Saving it to attack the Chandra is probably a total waste. But I think I will save it just on the chance that there is not an Abrade. Our opponent could have Lightning Strike instead. So we're going to play the gate. We're going to play some 0 Ballistas. Gain some life and loot some cards and try to hit our land drop and fill our graveyard. Finally found a land. Search for is kind of going to do? I don't think so. There's going to be no time for you. In a weird way, though, it could help me find another gate, but I just don't have the time to like flip it and activate it in this matchup. Right, pay 1 life, play a Minister, and now we'll see if our gate survives. Does our gate to the afterlife survive? Even if it does, they might be saving the Abrade for a God-Pharaoh's Gift. But then we can at least play some cat and mouse with them if they go for that line. Specifically, what I mean by that is if they're holding up Abrade and we're holding up Gate, they always have to have 2 mana open. So we can at least slow them down and work on finding another gate or something like that with our card advantage stuff. Doesn't seem like it should be too much to think about if they do have an Abrade, though. Seems like a straightforward get the gate off the battlefield. It gains life, it loots. You don't want that there. Mana being made.
Is gonna hurt.
Oh boy. Okay. Okay. Looks like our opponent may not have the Abrade unless they have a land they're still going to play. Third Vizier means that the opponent's basically dead if I get to do the gift thing. I'll definitely block. Fifth mana. I think I'll stick to the planning. Stick to the planning. Get it? It's like stick to the plan. And our opponent does not have a Abrade up. This is gonna happen, everybody. This is gonna happen. So let's fire you off. I guess I'll take the falls. Fire you off. Go get the gift. Celebrant. Hopefully our opponent lets us do the combo here for everybody who hasn't seen it. Straight to the face. I got no time for Chandra. Goes off again because there's another combat step. We get Vizier. Vizier copies this. This one exerts. Straight to the face. Untaps the other one. Gift goes off again. Vizier. Copies. Exerts. Straight to the face. Untaps the other ones. Another combat step. Vizier. God, we could have gone for 30. Going Steph Curry up in this. Going for 30. Boom. All right. Pulled it off on the black-red deck. They did not have the Abrade, which is, as you can tell, nightmare-inducing for fans of this deck. All right, that's going to do it for the gameplay section. Let's flip that sweet Vault Progress reward. Yay. And we'll do some quick, as promised. Whoa, what's happening? Brought you out of the blue and into the black, into the infinite here. Let's power up. Let's head on over. Look how prepared I am, right? So we'll go to the goldfish. We'll hit the login, and we'll show that we got some decks going on. So where is it? Where are my decks? Where is it? Yeah, my decks. There we go. So yeah, some of the decks coming up for M19 that we're talking about playing. We built 16 of them. We had kind of a vote off in Twitch, and now there are 8 decks left that might be played. And I'm going to just show you 4 of them right now. This is one of them. It's a 5-color dragons list. Received a lot of votes. It's pretty fun. As you can see, the lands are all over the place. Maybe I shouldn't even bother with trying some of these other lands, and I should just run all mountains. But the idea is using the new card, Sarkhan the Fireblood, which makes mana to cast any dragon, to cast multicolored dragons, like the new Nicol Bolas the Ravager and all the Elder Dragons. I've got one of each of those, along with Derrygaz Reincarnated. So many dragons. Banefire, Spit, Flame, Glorybringer, all the hits. If you haven't been keeping up on the new spoilers, I'm not going to talk about every card right now, but if you want to check out these links or check the deck lists out in the Discord, look up the cards, you can learn more about them. even a Sarkhan's Unsealing for max ridiculousness. So that's one of the decks we might be playing on Wednesday. All these decks are up for the top vote getters will get played on Wednesday. So that's what's at stake here when we build our deck. How about zombies? How about this crazy zombie build with the new zombie card, Stitcher Supplier, Graveyard Marshal, Death Baron making a return to the format, and a new Planeswalker, Liliana, Untouched by Death, who you're going to have to check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. Very exciting new card from Corset. There you are. A plus mills you for 3 and drains the opponent for 2, and you gain 2. -2 is a -X, where X is the number of zombies we have. So sort of like a Planeswalker version of, what was the card? Dark Salvation. And you can cast zombie cards from your graveyard. Now, Dark Salvation, obviously a superior card. Just trying to frame it a little. Another one that we have is the Tesserator. So a blue and black deck, perhaps, using this new Planeswalker Tezzeret Artifice Master. It pluses 1 for a Thopter. It 0s to draw a card, but if you control 3 or more artifacts, you draw 2 cards. The -9 turns itself into the Planar Bridge. You get to search, during your end step, you search for a permanent card and put it onto the battlefield. Some other new cards, Fountain of Renewal, gain a little life, get a little improvise action, a little artifact action on the battlefield, stuff like that. It's interesting. I'm excited to play it. I like Planeswalker themed decks, and we get to run both Tezzerets in the deck along with Karn. Sounds really fun to me. On the visual view, we get kind of a look at the curve and the mana count and things like that. Even has the Scarab God in case there isn't enough punch in the deck. The Scarab God can go for it. I wanted it to be Herald of Anguish. Herald of Anguish just isn't the Scarab God, though. If we're being real, if we want to win a game or two, I think you're supposed to play the Scarab God. Another one is God-Pharaoh's Gift Goblins. This one was actually eliminated. It did not win its playoff. The other 3 did, but it's just, and you can see why. It's just a bunch of goblins in a deck. But there are a lot of new goblins coming up in the set to get excited about, particularly Goblin Trash Master, which says sacrifice a goblin to destroy target artifact. And we do the God-Pharaoh's Gift thing with the Gobos. Sounds pretty fun to me. But let's show another deck that did make the cut. Life Gain. Life Gain, the deck. So Ajani's Pridemate returns. Duels fans remember, know and love this beautiful cat. Whenever you gain a life, you get a +1/+1 counter. And I know in Duels, going back to like 2014, I would get this guy up to like 20 power. It's just madness, right? And now we have other cards to play with it, like Resplendent Angel. Crested Sunmare can go in this deck and do the horse things. Lyra Dawnbringer makes the cut. I've got one Regal Caracal for the memes. But there's the Ajani, who I've talked about a few times on stream. He's definitely a Planeswalker that captures my fancy. I don't know if he'll be good enough, but the -2 of kind of reanimating a 2-drop, I hope that's good. And in this deck, you can get back a Pridemate. So the idea being make giant Pridemate all times. And then, of course, the Fountain of Renewal, which we showed before, just giving you those constant triggers. I even have Desert's Hold in this version to try to get life gain off my removal. I don't know if that's actually good. But anyway, that's a life gain deck. So those are a few of the decks we're brewing up. Again, like I said, come join Discord. If you've never done a Discord thing, we've got this sweet Discord setting, the CGB universe, where we talk about all kinds of stuff. We get some of the old Duels fans are in here together. We got Sleep and Kucho talking right now about a user deck list. So there's a spot for anybody can share their deck list. We also just share screenshots and articles and things that we like. Up here you can find deck lists of any decks that I've played, both on stream and on YouTube. In M19 you can find deck lists for all 16 of the decks that are on the MTG Goldfish site that I was discussing. So feel free to come join the CGB universe on the Discord. I'll put a link in the description. There's also a section down here that tells you when I am streaming. All right. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And for today, for right now, I am CGB. I'm out of here, and I'll see you later.